What we have today is a 2013 Ford Mustang. We're putting door speakers in. In order to do this, it's just a few simple tools you need. A T30 Torx bit, a 7mm socket, 6mm socket, and 2 small screwdrivers to pry with. Now, in order to get the door panels off, the first thing that has to be removed is the little triangular piece up in the corner of the door. In this case, the one that holds the power window switch. It goes right there. As you can see, it's just held on by a couple of clips and a push pin. Pulls straight off. We have the power window switch itself, which sits right in there. Again, it's held on by a push pin up front and a clip tab in the back. So when you pull this off, be sure to pull up from the front so you don't snap that off. The reason you have to take that off is because there is a bolt hidden right there. Do not forget that. The next piece that needs to come off is the power lock grommet, which goes right there. As you can see, it's just held on by a couple of clips, nothing fancy. It pops right off with the screwdriver. This piece here, which sits down inside the door handle, again, it's held on by 3 little clip tabs. Nothing fancy, but it does cover up one of the T30 Torx bolts that goes there. We have this piece here, which is held on at the top by a couple of clips and down on the bottom by a couple of tabs. So don't sit there and pry on the bottom of this piece. And it sits right in here down inside the armrest well. So when you take it off, pull out from the top. It covers up one of the T30 Torx bolts as well. Now around the edges of this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 spots for the 7mm bolts. The 2 on the end are covered up by these beauty rings. They're tabbed in on the bottom, okay, so they are attached. Try not to break that off. And there's a little plastic clip up at the top. For that, you use a little tiny screwdriver and just pop it right out. Now we're going to go around to the other side of the car, and I'm actually going to take everything apart. Again, we start up top. Plastic piece just pulls right out. There's no power window switch on that, so you don't have to mess with that. Power window switch cover pulls up in the front, comes straight up. Unplug the little clip. Done with that. We need our slightly larger screwdriver. You just take your time with it so you don't scratch anything up. Pull it out about 1/4 of an inch and then straight up. Now we go with the little tiny screwdriver again, and you got to kind of get down into this one and take your time here. I know my finger's in the way, but there's a little bit of an open area there, and that piece just pops right out. Okay, apparently my clumsy ass just hit the stop record button, so I need to splice this video somewhere. But back to what we were doing. The power lock grommet, just kind of get your screwdriver in there, take your time, and up it comes. Back to the little screwdriver. Just go right in that little cutout. Out that comes. Down into the little cutout again. Out that comes. Real easy. Switch over to the 7mm socket. And I'm going to go ahead and take these bolts out. A little difficult to do with one hand. Now these are screwed into plastic tabs off of the door panel. Probably should have pointed this out on the other side of the car, which I'll do real quick. But as you can see, these things go into plastic, and the plastic has a little bit of wiggle to it. So when you're taking these bolts off, if they feel like they're not coming out quite right, or if you think you got them all the way out and you don't, well, that's why. Oh hell, I'm just going to set this down for a minute. Hopefully that's still going to show the bolts I'm taking out. I know, watching a guy take a few bolts out of a door panel, what a wonderful way to spend a Saturday evening, right? High-speed internet connection, and that's the best you can do. But at least this way you'll learn how to sit there and change the speakers in the doors on your Mustang. And you don't have to worry about messing anything up. We got one more bolt up here. And we've still got one hidden down in here, which I'm going to get right now. Anyway. Now this bolt may end up falling down in there. It's not really a big deal because Ford did a wonderful job sealing the doors with a nice big plastic sheet, so you don't have to worry about losing your bolt down inside the door. Just down inside the door panel. That's the last of the 7mm bolts. Onto the Torx. If you're one of the lucky people with that can actually find your Torx bolt that goes on the end of your ratchet, more power to you. Unfortunately, I can't find mine, so I have to do this the slow way. As you can see, that thing's wobbling around. That's because this one too is set down into a little plastic block thing. Believe it or not, this really is a lot easier to do with two hands. And it's as simple as just lifting up on the door panel. You pretty much just pull straight up and it comes right off. Next thing you need to do is kind of keep an eye on wires and plugs. Make sure that doesn't get caught up. Don't let your power lock line get caught up. A lot of people try and disconnect that. Usually you just set the door panel on something, or stand it upright, lean it against the door. It doesn't really put that much tension on the cable. I know some people don't like to do that. It's entirely up to you. Okay. Then on the speaker itself, we got the 6mm bolts. Okay, and once again, my pudgy little fingers have hit the record button on my camera. Really need to get a new one, but 6mm socket, 6mm bolts, 4 of them. These come out pretty quick. Try and keep them separate from the rest of the bolts because they are a different size. And the speaker comes right out. Factory clip. Just push in on the tab. Comes right out. One interesting thing to note, Ford did sit there and put some foam on the back of the speaker around it. There's a reason for it. You don't want your speaker rattling. You don't want your speaker rattling in the door. Infinity, the Infinity reference series speakers I bought comes with this stuff, so I'm going to be putting that on the back of the speaker before I put it back in. Again, on the back of the door panel, you can see the plastic hooks on the bottom and the little pegs there and there. You can see where they fit in the door. Just lift straight up a little bit and pull out. It'll come right out. No issues. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something.